All right, everybody, we are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Guru, and I have the brother Genesis on with us tonight. And tonight's topic is Pan-Asianism is succeeding, but Pan-Africanism is failing. Now, we've had some historic recent events that just took place, and I guess that would be considered the island of Korea, the Korean Peninsula, whatever you want to call it. Where you see North Korea, South Korea getting together. You have Japan. I think their military is back. I think they weren't allowed to have a military post World War II. Now their military is coming back, and then you have China, who's pretty much brokering everything. So they're coming together. Asian supremacy is uniting and coming together. And of course, you got European and white supremacy already, who's circled their wagons. But meanwhile, in Africa, Negroes is just being Negroes. Negroes is praying that China comes and build roads and infrastructure. And, you got Rasta men and all these African men looking for old, shriveled up, wrinkled European lady to marry him so they get a green card. You got Nigerian women chasing white daddy so she could get a green card. Migrants, immigrants refugees trying to leave Africa, drowning in the Mediterranean to get to Italy. The same old clownery. What's going on, Kala? Like, what's
well, you just said you got muted.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so you just said it all. Exactly what need to be said. You know what I'm saying? And the bottom line is this: the reason why one of the fundamental reasons is this. If you look at Asian cultures, they're very frank. You know what I'm saying? They're very mindful of each other and everything. They're very frank. They come from a long history of thousands of years of literacy. You know what I'm saying? That means they can take apart people's thoughts and ideas from Confucius to whatever and pass that down, reinterpret them for each generation and make it fit into the narrative of the thing. They have stories that they preserve for thousands of years that's recreated and opera, through plays, through books, through theaters and everything. So therefore, this uniformity that's passed around much of China in particular, but also spreads to Japan and much of Asia, right? Creates this sort of thing where you have people pretty much on the same page, almost like everything on the same page. One of the things parables in China and Japan is, why fight over a rice bowl instead of just working to increase the size of the bowl? Now that's a parable, a phrase that's used in China, Japan. You find that throughout Asia. That's thousands of years. And so if you take those little things, right, that people, the nail that sticks up gets knocked down. This idea of uniformity, conformity, you know what I'm saying? Being mindful, just going with the herd, going with the for the greater good, suppressing of the emotions, you know what I'm saying? Delayed gratification, you know what I'm saying? Great good. Working for a higher culture, working for a higher achievement, sacrifice one generation. There's an old Confucius saying, this is very, very important, right? This is going to start the show. The philosophy of 1 century, right? I'm going to say it again. The philosophy of 1 century should be common sense in the next century. You see what I'm saying? So in other words, what people will sit around and philosophize in 1 century, they should be doing the same thing 100 years from now. They should manifest itself in the next century, or else the ideology was no good in the first place. So whatever you philosophize once a day, now because we live in a modern age, we can take that by decades, right? What's philosophy in 1 decade should be common sense in the next decade. You know what I'm saying? All the things you see right now in Asia right now, people sat around and talked about it, right? And then you had the manifestation of it. Now you ask yourself this question: how did they succeed and we didn't? You know what I'm saying? That's what the show is about tonight. You know what I'm saying? They had an ideology of Pan-Asianism, and they basically said, okay, this is what we need to do. They recognized who was the enemy, you know what I'm saying? Who was the enemy? Who was a threat to Asia? Where do they want to go? Where they want to be? All these things like this. Even though they're all different countries, different cultures and everything, what do we have in common? Geography, race, culture, all this stuff like that. Then we were battling what? We're battling white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? And they spelled it out. It was white supremacy, European domination over Asia, just because they were white. They used Christianity, they used Islam, whatever it is. It was always white was on top. European was the best. That was basically enslaving Asia, right? How do we get rid of that? It's the idea of let's put being Asian first. And the Asians that didn't want to go along with that and everything, they fell back in time. And the Asians that said, "Look, let's create let's become nations, let's work on building Asia and everything," they succeeded over the centuries. Okay, now let's get back. Let's get to Pan-Africanism. One of the problems with Pan-Africanism is this: Pan-Africanism was born in America. It was born out of the slave situation of being chained in the slave. It was born actually on the slave ships. The idea that you were black, the idea that you identified with people by color and race and physical features happened when you were chained together. There's an old saying that men chained together are brothers. Okay? When the Africans were trained together, no matter if they were enemies in Africa or they had different points of view in Africa, once they got on those slave ships, they figured, wow, they saw a new world being created, and these world was created by white men, and they basically said, look, we're all slaves now, fighting each other because we're black men. Now, the idea was when the first slaves came to the new world was we have to go back to Africa, change things and whatnot, and warn our people of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? That while you're fighting each other, these people are building and getting rich and come and enslave all of us. You know what I'm saying? Based on race. Well, the African on the ground didn't have any use for Pan-Africanism. You know, if you were stronger than another tribe, you pretty much got your way. It was old jockey position for Europeans. Okay. The problem with the black race is when we talk about Pan-Africanism, right? Asia, the Asians outside of Asia didn't create Pan-Asianism. It was the Asians on the ground that created Pan-Asianism. The Japanese leaders, the Chinese leaders, and all these other people, Filipino leaders, the Thai leaders, all these people were complaining about Europeans' intrusion and European bullying since the Opium Wars, right? It's the Asians being overrun by Europeans. You know, the Indians complained about it, okay? But at least they were in the vantage point of their own land. The idea of Pan-Africanism didn't take root in Africa, right? Because somebody in the Congo didn't have any idea what was going on in West Africa because, like I said, we didn't have a literate culture. You know, a lot of people, Africans didn't have maps. They didn't know it was on a continent or wherever like that. So they didn't have any way of identifying. Once Africans became educated, you know, Western educated, they said, well, wait a minute here. Look what's going on. So you got white, the same story. Somebody from Europe, whether it's French, Portuguese, Dutch, whatever, is basically controlling large numbers of land of a common ancestry of the people on the African continent. And then you got people, African Americans and Africans in diaspora are like, well, wait a minute here, you know, how do we fit into all this? You know, our problem was, thing was the strongest case for Pan-Africanism happened outside of America. You had the Pan-Africanist Congresses in Europe, had a Pan-Africanist Congress in Paris, and you had London, Paris, and you had a Pan-Africanist Congress in Harlem, and all these Boston, all these places like that. But they were basically, Africa was an abstraction. You know what I'm saying? So in other words, basically the idea of Pan-Africanism never took root on the continent. It was started, Kwame Nkrumah, when he came to America, he read Marcus Garvey. He said, oh, this is what the answer was. We need to have African first. We're all Africans. When Kwame Nkrumah came to power and he started preaching this stuff, his own people turned against him. They thought he was crazy. We're going to have one government with people in the Congo and all these people. They were crazy. But to the outside world, Africans and the Americans, we feel, oh yeah, let's have one government, one African government. But when you talk about Africans, they don't see it that way. They don't see themselves as one collective. Okay. Now, about Asia. Okay. Asia also.
Hey, Kyle, if I could ask a quick question, why don't Africans see the bigger picture of Pan-Africanism, and why are they still stuck on, I hate saying it, tribalism, which is the new coonery?
Well, like I said, in all fairness to Africans, like I was telling you this afternoon, right? Pan-Africanism is our baby. Those of us who are landless. Now, when you're landless, and like I said, I'm poking fun at African Americans, right? We have all these ideologies and everything like that. When you're landless and you don't have any territory, you have no power really, everything. You can talk Pan Africanism. It sounds good. You know what I'm saying? But when you have power, you know what I'm saying, you got numbers on your side. You know what I'm saying? You're a king, you're a tribe, whatever, and you got some special relationship with this European, you got a special relationship with this person, and it's getting worse in Africa because now China is making a big play for African media. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to set up their own Al Jazeera's and everything. So the bottom line, we're fighting a war. Africa is fighting for its life. You know what I'm saying? It's fighting for its life. And if China wins in Africa, now China's doing a lot of good. I'll give it that. It's doing a lot of good and everything like that. But one thing I disagree with the brother said the other day is, why is this war being fought on African soil? Why don't we take the trade war to them? You know what I'm saying? If you gotta have reciprocity. And how is Africa going to do that when the strongest people of African origin are outside the continent? We're locked out of the African continent. You see what I'm saying? We're locked out of the African continent. We get blowback from Africans. Oh, y'all ain't African. This and the other thing. This and the other thing. So
Okay, Kyla, why? I mean, I think, and not to be arrogant, but it's obvious now that the Black American is the key. Why don't Africans realize that?
there's jealousy, tribalism, there's envy. You know what I'm saying? They've been taught by the colonial masters that they're better off than African Americans. You know what I'm saying? Because we're slave descendants. Everything, nothing can be further from the truth. And Africans, have this thing. Africans will come and compete with other Africans, right? But they'll never lift a finger to Asian. They never compare themselves to Indians. You'll not have. You show me anywhere where you'll see an African arguing, debating with the Indian or Chinese. Show me anywhere online or any chat room where you see an African getting into it with a Chinese. Never. It's always with another African. The only people that take on Indians and Chinese and Europeans really are you got some black South Africans, you know what I'm saying? Who will, you know what I'm saying? I'll give them that. Are black people from the diaspora, you know what I'm saying? Because we don't believe that they're hype or that they're superior. We don't think Europe is superior to Africa. You know what I'm saying? Africans are convinced that Europe is heaven. Europe is the perfect place. I gotta get there. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get there. Their soil is richer than African soil. Their soil can produce money. Their soil can produce wealth. African soil is poverty and all stuff like that. We we can't build. We have a university in West Africa, but it's more prestigious to say you send your kids to Oxford instead of building the University of Lagos, of Ibadan, and all these old universities in Nigeria as world-class learning centers. They're not even accredited anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because we let African education go down. You know what I'm saying? And the bottom line is this: we don't, African black people do not really take education seriously. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because we rely on Europeans and everything. You see that comment you had with Frank Roscoe, and leave us alone. Let us be friends with China. No, we're not going to sit there and let you hand over our ancestral homeland to Chinese. Just because you're lazy, you're sitting in South Africa, and you want somebody to build infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? We built railways in America, and we built this country in America. We have the confidence that we could build a nation. You know what I'm saying? We the only group of people that have that confidence in us that we can build a nation, but we're not given an opportunity to really show our stuff because we have these stumbling blocks. Oh, what about Liberia? What about this? What about that? And then the images of African Americans, what they put out to the world, is almost always negative. They don't see the true side of Black America in the international media. And so they have this idea, African Americans, they don't care about Africa, they don't know nothing about Africa. So it's stupid stuff. If you, most of us have encyclopedias in our homes, most of us have books in our home, and most of us really know about the continent. You'd be surprised. You know what I'm saying? This idea, they beat 1 or 2 ignorant black people on the street, and that's 45 million of us. So it's just, and what gets me is this: they'll take it at face value. Oh, African Americans don't know Africa, this, that, the other thing. But they have every confidence that when a white person comes to Africa wearing a dashiki, he has their best interest. Oh, he knows the culture. He knows this, everything. You never hear them question white people's integrity in Africa. You never hear that. But I'm gonna bash on my brothers in Africa. I was just gonna try to get some understanding tonight of why Asia succeeded and it didn't. We're gonna talk about some things. We're gonna talk about the Bandung conference, okay? And just overall, because let me tell you something. I was watching a video. You said a video where the Chinese were sitting there talking about, oh, white people are so beautiful and everything. And you had some little fat white guy talking about, oh, I feel so great to be white now. You know what I'm saying? You still have the Chinese who are still suffering from colonialism. They still think their chinky eyes are ugly. They don't think they're a beautiful race of people. You know what I'm saying? And so therefore, Africans are looking up to them for leadership, and the Chinese don't even have the really confidence in themselves. You know, and this is what's happening. So you can have two people who would lack the confidence in themselves, both worshiping white people, and the Chinese. I mean, it'll be so far. It's better almost to have Europeans trying to recolonize Africa than the Chinese at this point, because at least the Europeans know who they are. You know, the Chinese are basically, oh well, you know, they're like white supremacy, yellow. They adopted into the yellow supremacy thing. Now, a couple of generations ago, the Chinese weren't like the Chinese today. The Chinese identified with the marginal people of the world. Okay, when Mao Zedong was around, he identified with the marginal people of the world. He called China the leader of the third world. Okay, he was the leader of the developing world, and China was a friend to Africa. Okay, now things have changed like that. You have Chinese billionaires. You have Chinese that basically have been living with doing business with whites and everything else, and they have a vantage point where they think like white people now. And this is what Africans are letting inside the continent, you know what I'm saying, settle down in the continent. It's very, very dangerous right now. Very, very dangerous. Because if you think they're going to put all this infrastructure in Africa and not want to protect it with their military, you are sadly mistaken. So, well, what's the problem?
I need you to kind of repeat that, what you just said last. That's important.
Okay, I said, if you think they're going to build all this infrastructure, invest all this money, and they're not going to back it up with their military, you are sadly mistaken. They have every intention of dominating Africa militarily one day. And that's what this is all about. And so therefore, okay, somebody said, okay, the admiral says built by Asians. No. The railways were not built by Chinese immigrants. You know what I'm saying? Chinese were coolies and workers. It was American capitalists, right, who basically planned the transcontinental railway, the steel and everything, the logistics and everything supplied to the build the railways were done by American companies. You know what I'm saying? Trans-Pacific Railway Company. Chinese were just workers. You know what I'm saying? They didn't build the railways in America. You know what I'm saying? China didn't build their first railway till 1950 in China. You know what I'm saying? So how can they come here and build the railways here? They didn't know what a railway was. It was Europeans that built the first railways in Hong Kong and Peking and all stuff like that. Chinese built their first line in the 1950s. You know, but just like anything else, they mastered the technique of building railways and everything, and that's history. I applaud them. You know what I'm saying? But to say they came here and built the railways and everything like that, they didn't build they worked the railway. They worked harder than anybody else. Yes, they basically, without the Chinese 49ers coming in and completing that wouldn't have happened. But they can't take credit for the mastermind of building the railway system in America. That's not true. Okay. Okay. Now here's the thing. You had in 1955. Let's see if I could pull some of this up. 1955.
Real quick, let me read one of the super chats. Appreciate the super chat. Brother Reno says leaders like Paul Kagame see the bigger picture, but he can only do so much from his small country. African Americans need to go influence Pan-Africanism in Africa.
That has. I mean, you mute. Here's a problem. There's a problem. People say African Americans, right? We are in America as American citizens, right? There is no African American government. We have no diplomacy. Everything starts with diplomacy. There is no African American government. There's not even any African American organization. You know what I'm saying? Any organization that represents African Americans. You know what I'm saying? Most African American organizations are nickel and dime supply. We don't even have something like the Brene Brown with an endowment and stuff like that, where organizations they have its own media, that has its own funding mechanism, that own its own industries and businesses and everything like that. We don't have any of that in Black America. All our organizations in Black America are funded by the Ford Foundation, and all these other people like that. And what do? They steer Black America in the direction of liberalism and being American. There's no Pan-Africanist super organization in America. They're not going to let that happen inside the borders of the United States. The only organization that's trying to make it attempt that is the Black African Infrastructure, my organization, our organization, the Black African Infrastructure Organization. But we're a small social network, right? Now, if we had people joining the BAIO by the tens of thousands with their skills and their stuff like that, yeah, we can get it done. When we got to sit here and fight with people every night and they don't seem to get it, right? Because you only think you can't see no further than your nose. The Chinese plan how many years out, 100 years? They're planning
probably 300 years.
They might plan 300 years. But Black people we're receptive. We just take blows as they come. A police shooting. Oh, we go up and down. We're going to be down or not. The next one happens. Go like that. We have no plan. We don't know how to stay focused. You know what I'm saying? How you stay focused is joining the Black African Infrastructure Organization and getting involved. You know what I'm saying? Because all the stuff we talk about doing and what you talk about doing is what we want to do. But we need members and we need support and we need stuff that going on before it's too late. You know? So this idea of Black African Americans need to do this and whatnot. We're not a government. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, let me give you an example. A couple of years ago, there was a couple of brothers that went to Zimbabwe, and I don't know if you heard about this, was working for Mugabe. Said they wanted to get loans. I guess he got $2 million to lobby the city of Chicago, something like that, for part of their endowment. A city can invest in their pension funds in their country if they want to, right? And the Obama administration has extended sanctions on Zimbabwe for taking away land from the white farmers, right? So they took these two brothers and arrested them, right? One brother pled out, right? I don't know what happened with the case wherever, but the one brother is facing charges for lobbying with the enemy state, even though the United States has diplomatic relations officially with Zimbabwe, because he didn't register as an agent of a foreign government. That's another thing you have to be real careful about. When you go to a foreign country, right? You have to get your lawyer to have you register as a foreign agent, which I plan on doing one day, as a foreign agent of that particular country, and let the State Department know and the embassy know that you're actively lobbying for that government and everything, and you're pushing whatever you're trying to do and everything. And the United States has to have full transparency as you as a U.S. citizen in that foreign country. Now, it doesn't matter. Now, people say, well, this happens all the time. Yeah, of course. When you're dealing with friendly countries to the United States that they don't have anything to do, like Israel, the Jews, like there was one guy, a Jewish guy, who was accused of spying. He was basically saying, well, we're such friends and everything. He was working for an intelligence company in America, and he gave access to the Israelis. He got like 20 years for that, you know, even though Israel is fine. But if they do that with Israel, imagine what they do that with us. The point is that you have to make sure.
Hey, they're bury us under the prison. Guys, please get the likes up. We have 138 people watching and only 57 likes. Get the likes up. Go ahead, Carla. Sorry about that.
Yeah, okay. My point is this though. So when you basically talk about going to a foreign country and everything, and you want to do business with a foreign country, you have to be registered as a foreign agent. You know what I'm saying? That takes I don't know what's the process, of a form you got to fill out and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So you're registered as a foreign agent of a government. You know what I'm saying? So they recognize you not just as a U.S. citizen, but you're lobbying on behalf. Now, if you're with a U.S. friendly company like Israel, the Jews do it all the time. You have Jewish people who serve American Jews who serve in the Israeli military. Nobody says nothing because Israel got political power, capital. We don't have that. The United States, on the whole, listen to this very carefully. The United States, on the whole, although there's some elements of this when the Clinton administration, the Bush administration. If you're doing that bidding in Africa, particularly countries like Ghana, which most Negroes in Ghana do, you're doing the bidding of the United States government, they don't bother you. You know what I'm saying? But if you're talking about Pan-Africanism and your interests might conflict with what the United States thinks or its allies think in Africa, you better watch your ass. You know what I'm saying? And that's a warning to anybody. You know what I'm saying? So don't go running off, talking about, oh, I'm joining this, I'm going to go in this, that, the other thing. You will be in some serious trouble if they decide to pull your card. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. So therefore, we have to do this right. We have to do this the right way. We have to have our own team of lawyers, international lawyers one day. well agents, our own diplomats, and everything like that as an outfit in America. You know what I'm saying? We're beginning the process of us being recognized as an international sovereign body of politics in America that want to transport our interest in not being just interest in Africa. You have to have an interest in the continent. And also, we state out to the world, what are our legitimate interests in Africa? Right? Well, every time we talk about Africa, it's always some big joke. I'm sick of hearing like, oh, it's always some joke or some, oh, well, yeah, just say the other thing. No, we have legitimate interest in the continent. I have friends. My friend John Cashin owns Metro Rail in Nigeria, has two big projects in the making. You know what I'm saying? For Metro building monorails in Lagos, Nigeria, and looking at other countries. We have legitimate interest in the country like anybody else. We want to make money. We want to build cities. We want to build towns. We want to invest in real estate. We want to build schools. We want to enjoy ourselves. We want to be on a continent right now. We want to help in African political affairs and everything. These are legitimate interests in everything. And someone has to tell me why that if I'm a person of African origin, why I can't have the same thing the Chinese have, the Japanese have, the Laotians have with their ancestral homeland. Why am I cut off from my ancestral homeland and everything if I have legitimate interests? This is what Pan-Africanism is dead and pan, because every Asian person can easily go back to Japan or whatever. You know what I'm saying? If they can settle back into Japan anytime they want to. If you're a Japanese person born in the United States, 3 generations, at any time, you can say, you know something, I had enough, and you can go to Japan and get right back in. There's nothing, and please don't tell me about Ghana's right of abode. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me about Ghana's right of abode. That's a joke. That's not real.
What is Ghana? No one's been able to explain that to me, Kala.
I can't explain. You beats me. I'm the last person yet. What it is you could abode means you could come live there. Not have
if I say this, the right of abode for Ghana is if you're a man and you go to Ghana, find you a Ghanaian wife. That's the only thing I can think of.
And also get cheated out of money, and you could lease land, you can't own it. You know what I'm saying? You can never own it, whatever like that. So you take the chance of putting a lot of money into a piece of property and everything. Somebody can come and take it back because it's owned by some chief, whatever. All the land is not a modern system. That's another thing Asia got rid of. They got rid of this kingdoms and all stuff like that, and they took stripped powers away from kings and all stuff like that, and put the concentration of power into this power of the republic in the state. You know what I'm saying? So the people would have a chance to owning property, developing property, entering the business, entering the contracts, all these things by when you have a stable, modern society government. That's the only way they're gonna compete with the West is they gotta modernize. They have to modernize. If Africa refuses to modernize its land laws, its citizenship laws, its all these things, its infrastructure, connecting with regional. That's another thing we'll talk about is how Asia's infrastructure is all intertwined with each other. We'll talk about that. Africa refuses to get serious about infrastructure development that meets the needs of African infrastructure, not Chinese, and facilitating Chinese trade and Chinese looting of the continent. You okay? So therefore, we're going to talk about that tonight, And after this show tonight, I don't want to hear nothing else about what we need to do, because we will know exactly what we need to do. Okay.
Go ahead and drop it, brother. The floor.
I'm gonna drop it.
Everybody. Let's see. We have 142 people watching, and we have 75 likes. Y'all stop being so damn stingy with these likes.
Get the likes up.
Like and share. Get the likes up, please. All right, go ahead, Colin.
Okay. So here's the thing.
Real quick, let me we have a indigenous, I ain't African, I'm from Turtle Island, an indigenous Hebrew Israelite.
Get him out of here.
He says maybe because Africa is not our homeland. You want to address that or just
the bottom line is this: fools like this, you know what I'm saying? And listen to that Phil Valentine diss with Xavier did that. Oh my God, he just eats the Phil Valentine. All these phony people who hate Africa, who hate the African roots, who hate the African blood. They want to be identified with so-called America and everything. Why don't you just pull out your red, white, and blue flag and just sing the national anthem. You know what I'm saying? Just go right ahead. I ain't gonna be mad at you. The bottom line is, but what gets me is this: if you believe that, why do people always want to come to our sites when we're talking what we're talking, and they want to spew their friggin' nonsense? We know who we are. We know what we want. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to be part of what we are, everything, go on your troll sites and smoke your peace pipe and worry about how you're gonna get your land back with your native African brethren. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Go see go see how you're gonna get your land back from the white man. You know what I'm saying? Go over to the reservation and whatnot. See if you could open a casino or let them see how that works out for you. You know what I'm saying, Mr. Indigenous Negro? You know what I'm saying? You are angry because there's an awakening in Black America. There's an awakening in Black. I'm gonna talk about too. An awakening in Black America. This is real this time. I didn't believe this time is real because of social media. The movie Superfly flopped, completely flopped. All of the stuff they talk about, it did $1.2 million at the box office. A complete bomb.
Kala, 1.2 million. That's worse than I don't know what to call it. That's a failure.
That's a flop.
Failure.
You know why Sony put that? Sony executives, mostly white Americans, even Sony, the Japanese called Sony American Music Enterprise Entertainment is a white-owned thing, and they were caught on camera making racist comments. You know what I'm saying, about disparate Black characters they would create, and they love they create all the characters you see in Sony pictures are stereotypes. They revel in Black stereotypes and demeaning depictions, and they thought they were gonna basically try to sabotage the momentum of Black Panther and everything like that, and it didn't work. So let them keep making these movies. Let them keep losing money. They're not going to have the community. The community is saying that we're tired of being portrayed in a certain way. Black people are fascinated by this idea of nationalism, Black power, Black pride, Black beauty, African beauty, and stuff like that. And there's basically something deeper than just being a Negro in America. Neo-Negroism is dying. You know what I'm saying? Pan-Africanism. The people say, what was it? Pan-Africanism. You said Pan-Africanism. Yeah, it failed. I'm going to tell you why it failed, and I'm going to tell you why it's going to succeed if we do things the right way. And Black America is going to play a big part in revitalizing Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is business. Let me tell you something. When people talk about Pan-Africanism and everything, right away they get emotional. Here's the problem right here. I'm just going by some of the stuff I look at chat rooms, I go back and look at these shows, and I hear what people say and stuff like about me, Dinus, and all of us and everything. And I listen to some other shows and everything like that, right? And I get the feeling that a lot of Africans, right, when we talk about Pan-Africanism, they think it's supposed to be some love fest, right? They think it's supposed to be some love fest. So, emotionalism, Pan-Africanism is life and death, is business. As with anything, if you're on a ship in the Navy, right, that captain or he is not going to care about your damn feelings. You have duties and you have things to do, right? You have orders, you have protocol, right? When you're serious about business or you are on a mission and everything like that, everybody has responsibilities. Everybody like this. Now, in the process of you getting the job done and everything, of course you have some downtime where there's some bonding and some kinship and everything like that. But you have to have a main thing that you are working on, something real and tangible that you have in common. Diane, you understand what I'm saying? Real and tangible. Africans don't build anything real and tangible, African Americans, but they expect all this love and us to be all, you guys are a little harsh and everything. Let's build something real and tangible, things that we work on together. Let's have businesses that we have together. Let's have land that we're developing together. Let's do all these things together. So therefore, we have something real and tangible like the Asians do, right? And it ain't gonna always be, this, that, and the other thing. Because let me give you, China and Japan are enemies, but they have $400 billion worth of trade and business transactions a year flowing across the South China Sea. You understand? Africans will talk Pan-Africanism. Oh, my Black brother, and you ain't doing no business. You ain't doing anything. We have nothing tangible. I don't give a dang about handshakes and hugging somebody and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Dude, I had enough of that. Let's build something. Let's have something, and then afterwards, that's the difference between Asians and Africans. You know what I'm saying? Asians create and build. They're about business. You know what I'm saying? They're about long-term business and everything like that. And then afterwards, they're like, you see them in Hong Kong and everything, they're partying and everything. Then it's time to celebrate. They're out in nightclubs and everything. And you Africans go to their countries and you're so envious of why they're so successful there. Why? Because they're doing business. They're putting their economy and their education, everything first. You know what I'm saying? They don't charging their people for school fees while the leaders got these expensive $200,000 Mercedes Benz and everything, and the a poor family got to pay for his school fees. I'm gonna tell it like it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna candy coat this anymore. If we want Pan-Africanism and everything, we want this to work. We have to make it tangible, real, and we have to get real about our survival. You know what I'm saying? So Pan-Africanism is what's real and tangible. You know what I'm saying? We have to have what's real and tangible. It can't be vague and abstract. I don't do the vague and abstract. I don't do the, oh yes, my African brother, oh we love each other. We ain't got two dimes to rub together. You ain't got no infrastructure, ain't got no business transactions, no nothing going on when I but oh my African brother when I and then what happens is you start getting into mediocrity when we start talking stupid stuff to each other. Well, you African Americans are this, or you Nigerians are this, you Nigerians because we ain't got nothing really going on with each other. That's why we pick and diss each other back and forth. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, that's the problem. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem right now. You know, we have people who uh, who um who let's see. Let's see. All right. That's the problem. That's the problem right now. We don't have anything real and tangible. You know what I'm saying? We don't even have any agreement with any African government that says, you know something, the African Americans were suffering for 400. And remember, the right to abode, or the way they worded everything, had to have the approval of who? President Bill Clinton. He looked it over, and he had to have the final say so. So that okay, we can't do that because it's too radical and everything. So it was awarded. And what happened was, it was originally J.J. Rawlings was like, yeah, we're gonna give these people a place in Parliament. We're gonna give them a seat in Parliament. We're gonna give them territories of land, full citizenship, blah 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 blah. Blah. We're gonna have them do this and everything. And then what happened was it went in like a lion, came out like a lamb. And then by the time Bill Clinton and all these Negroes got a hold to the whole thing about right to vote, it became this watered down version of, and the only people it attracts is retirees. You know what I'm saying? Everybody you see in Ghana, old people, you know what I'm saying, elderly people. You know what I'm saying? You need people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna build something. People in their money making years.
And then the thing is, Colin, from my understanding, it's damn near impossible. Like I think you have to prove that your ancestors are from Ghana to even.
You have to prove. First of all, it's really a humiliating thing. You have to have your own health insurance, right? You have to prove your assets and how you can support yourself, whatever like that. In other words, basically, you got Ghanaians basically living on $1 a day, scrounging around and everything like that. But basically, they want you to be able to. What they want is they want you to have a pension, a residual income coming in, and you got money to put in their bank, so you spend the money in their economy, which is true and everything. It's good and everything. But like I said, that's not for the average person who wants to start a business and from scratch. In any country, it's a big place. You're gonna have up times and down times. You're gonna have people at times where you're broke, and there's times where you make it. So you got to have a situation where you go to a country like that. The best way to go into a country like that is go in as an investment group. That's why I say if Jay Morrison, if he's successful with the Tulsa Fund, right? It could create a model by which African Americans take capital to a particular country like Ghana and invest in and build interest in businesses that and manufacturing and stuff that the local people could use and produce, and they can make a money, live a good life and everything, and enjoy the country. But we're not at that level yet. And it's going to have to take, if African Americans are going to do that, they're going to have African partners. You know what I'm saying? Some of the African partners might not be from Ghana. They might be from Nigeria. They might be from the Congo. You know what I'm saying? You might have that key person. He might be from Ethiopia. So if you don't like Ethiopians, there goes the deal. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I do. We got a super chat too. Interact. Thank you so much for the super chat. Kala, many Africans are only knowledgeable about what's going on in their own country, not throughout the continent. Many of them don't understand the Pan-Africanist mindset. Thank you.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely interesting. That's absolutely true. And it's sad because they don't see the bigger picture. The bigger picture is the whole entire African continent. The African that speaks a different language or living different from you is not your enemy. He's your fellow continental brother, and Africans in America and the West are your brothers and sisters from centuries ago and everything. And you continental Africans, if you don't seem to understand that, the first African country that gets it, right, that really gets it, is going to be the new leader of Africa. The first African country that embraces the diaspora, you know what I'm saying, and opens its door to land and settlement and infrastructure and everything, it's going to be the most powerful country in Africa, and it's going to be able to compete with any country in the world. And that's just the truth. Unfortunately, it's just not like that because it's like that. Let me get back to what I was talking about. Okay. My computer's acting slow tonight. Every time I get ready to do a show, you do a show, my computer wants to act slow. All right, I did a run. It want to act slow. Come on. Wants to act slow. I want to show you some pictures. Hold up.
You want to email them to me?
Let's see. I gotta get back on this. Get back on this. Come on. Don't tell me. I just. This is. I'm gonna try not to lose my temper. Friggin' your computer wants to act up at the optimal time. I'm trying to do a friggin' show, and this friggin' garbage computer wants to friggin' act up now. They want to act up now. No, I don't want to install nothing. No, I don't want to install. No, I don't. It's Apple software is coming up right now. It wants to install their updates right now. No, I don't want to install this update. Load the hell up. Get off. Quit. All right. Now, in 1955, there was this thing called the Bandung Conference in Indonesia. Indonesian President Suharto was there. Kwame Nkrumah was there. Adam Clayton Powell was there. Okay, it was the biggest event. It was the biggest event in post World War II. This conference basically was thought of in the height of even before the war broke out, because the West would try to make it seem like the World War II was about the Japanese and Chinese imperialism and blah 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 blah. That was only part of the story, And when I hear black people people, non-white people talk about, oh well, Japan did this, Japan did that, Japan did this, and they'll talk about Nazi Germany did this, Nazi Germany, but they never basically talk about the British, the French, the Portuguese, you know what I'm saying? All these other people, the United States, all these other imperialist countries, and what they was doing around the world, enslaving people of color, and the Dutch. The Dutch came to Indonesia in the 1600s, right? The Dutch East Indies Company came in the 1600s, right? They established a trading base to facilitate trade between the Cape of Good Hope, the Netherlands, and Southeast Asia. Well, over like about 150-year period of time, they built bases and military bases, and they gradually, with all the thousands of islands and archipelago, they began to control the islands of Indonesia, right? And they set up bases and everything like that, right? They have educated some of the local people. They will pit different groups of people against each other. This tribe who have been trading and lived with each other, normally in peace in Indonesia for centuries, right? And then they basically the Indonesians the Dutch rule was so brutal, and they used slave labor and all these tactics to make the Netherlands very very wealthy. The Dutch East Indies Company very very wealthy. Without which the Netherlands would have never became where it became. There was an old Indonesian prophecy, right? And I'm going to tell you about a similar prophecy in South Africa. There was a prophecy that said like 200 years ago that said that the Indonesians would suffer for 3 centuries of white supremacy. So in other words, we weren't alone. We're fighting this color-based white supremacy. In other words, darker skinned people feel inferior to people with white skin. They said they will suffer 3 centuries of white supremacy, right? And then a strong yellow race from the north would come and wage war against the whites and unbelievers and the traitors and drive them out. They didn't know who the strong yellow race from the north
that sounds like that Nation of Islam. The white man will rule for 2,000 years, and it's. I mean, we out of time. It's over.
Well,
it's past 2,000 years.
But get this. To the exact date of those 300 years, right? The Japanese squadron invaded Indonesia, and the Dutch Empire collapsed. And their divine prophecy. See, people don't understand something. The Indonesia, what they don't tell you in history was the Indonesians sided with the Japanese, even though the Japanese invaded them. They drove the Dutch out, right? And they said the Japanese was a strong yellow race for the north, right? That was going to drive them. That was the basis of Sukarno's Pan-Asianism. The Asian races should fight white supremacy for foreign land, not just race, but it's also geography. Europe is way over here. Asia's over here. We look alike. We're similar. This is our origin. This is our home, right? Why are we taking orders from somebody halfway around the world? You know what I'm saying? Why should another land be lordship over this land right here? You see the mindset is different. Everything in Asia should originate in Asia. This is where this is our land. This is our sovereign. This is our homeland. This is everything we want. Now, what we call it now? I say this because a similar ideology came in South Africa. It was called Alma Malinka, but it happened. It didn't happen 300 years ago. It happened in the 1920s, right? It was called Alma Malinka. Alma Malinka was a ideology in the Transkei, which is now the Eastern Cape, which believed it was started by Garveyites in South Africa, who believed that a strong race of black men from the north, black people from America, were going to come in ships and planes and lead a bloody war and drive the whites out of Africa. You know what I'm saying? That's what they believed. It came from a lot of people had pictures of Marcus Garvey's marches in Harlem, right, and the ships of the Black Star Line, and so they began believing that a strong black race from America was going to descend upon Africa and drive Europeans off the continent. You know what I'm saying? That's called Alma Malinka. It was so fanatical that the government of South Africa and colonial banned the publishing and the printing of the Garvey newspaper throughout the continent. All the colonial governments banned Marcus Garvey's image, his name, his everything publishing because Alma Malinka was going so strong in South Africa. This idea that there was going to be a worldwide race war and the black people of America were going to lead this race war in Africa and drive the Europeans and everybody, the non-believers, out of Africa. You know, it never happened. You know what I'm saying? But the Japanese did have Asians did have the satisfaction of seeing the Prince of Wales ship sunk in Singapore, the Singapore's naval base that the British were building destroyed. It's had the satisfaction of seeing the French driven out of Indochina. It had the satisfaction of seeing American soldiers being marched on the Bataan Death March and stuff like that. The Japanese occupation of the Dutch East Indies, the Japanese occupation of the Solomon Islands, and the Japanese almost occupation of Australia. You know, and the Japanese occupation of Hong Kong and all this stuff like that were European were British commanders, big time thing, rule the world. Sun will never set on the British Empire. Say, I surrender to Japanese forces. If you don't surrender, we're going to resume war. And the British had to be surrendered. And the empire and India and everything crumbled right before their eyes. Psychologically, that has never happened with the black race. We've never seen Europeans crumble right before our eyes. You know what I'm saying? So the idea of white supremacy is really still physically in our thing. The banned publication was the what was it? The Negro World. That was Garvey's publication. It was published in different languages all over the world. It was called the Negro World. It was banned in Africa. You know what I'm saying? It was banned in South Africa. It was banned in colonial Africa, all over, so particularly South Africa because of the Alma Malinka movement. Okay? Okay, now, Indonesia, out of all the Asian countries, was the epicenter of this idea of Pan-Asianism. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the Philippines, because the Philippines were so in love with America still. They're like, oh, you know, Douglas MacArthur, give us our independence. Douglas MacArthur, remember, I shall return. Remember that? You know, and he fought the United States regained the Philippines and everything. So the Filipinos are very, very pro-American. But even some of their leaders joined was at the Bandung conference, right? So all these leaders from Pol Pot and all these other leaders, they gathered in Indonesia, right? You know, gathered in Indonesia, and I don't know what I did with these damn pictures. I swear, I don't know. What I gotta do is when I do shows, I gotta do a better job at prepping. Man, this is my fault. You know, I had pictures and everything like that. I gotta do a better job of prepping for these shows and prepping for shows. I really apologize about this. So my point.
Do you want to email me the pictures?
Okay, I'm gonna do one thing. What I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna go on this one Facebook account that I got, right? I'm gonna go on this one Facebook account. Hold up. Let me see. Facebook Messenger. All right. Go in here. Because I think I want to give you a visualization. I want to give a visualization of what I'm talking about. Let's see. Come the hell on. All right. Let's see. Shoot your count. All right. 1 second. Diane, take some questions while I'm doing this. You want to read some questions?
Yeah. Let me go ahead and read some questions quick. Everybody, once again, thank you for joining us. We have 171 people watching, only 109 likes. Please hit that like button, guys. I really appreciate it. Trump is showing what they want to do with us. The only thing stopping they is I don't know. I can't understand that question. Let's see here. I will say this. I've been in the Pan-African movement since the early 90s, and never have I seen such a high level of thought and discourse to a United States of Africa until now. We're waking up. What are your thoughts on that statement?
Yeah, we're waking up. But like I said, it's one thing to wake up and one thing to have it manifest itself. We have to have it manifest itself. You know what I'm saying? It has to manifest itself. We have to get people, the people in power. It's one thing to wake up, but if you got buffoons running the governments, every last single, almost except for Paul Kagame and cool people, you know, Dinus, We got a bunch of fools running the country. Why? Because and I'm gonna talk about this idea of so-called democracy. Democracy, the way it has right here, people don't like what I'm saying this, but does not fit Africa. You know what I'm saying? Carl, are you a dictator? No, I believe in republicanism. Are you a Republican? No, I'm not talking about the GOP in America. I mean the idea of the state. You look at excuse me, any Asian country, right? They got strong republics. You know what I'm saying? You don't see. Do you ever see anything in Asia about elections for the most part? What is it?
No, we don't. You know, that's a good question. I really don't.
Right, because the why? Because Asians know what they want, right? They're not on. We're not led by Hollywood celebrities who tell us we gotta get out there and vote for this cause. Most Asians know, right? Okay, this is the way the world is, right? I got electricity. I got a good life. I can raise my family. First of all, you gotta know who you are. Excuse me, who you want, what you want. People want education, right? They want infrastructure. They want roads. See, Asian governments say that's if you give people those things, right? Where they can free themselves and they can have a better quality of life and all stuff like that. People leave politics alone. Hong Kong, let me give you another example. Hong Kong, right? Hong Kong is the center of business. You go down the street in Hong Kong and you'll see factories that basically are filling for throughout the 1960s and 70s. Most of your jeans and clothes were made in Hong Kong, right? There were simple people who just basically opened up a factory and they shipped the goods around the world. Laissez-faire, people making money, boom, boom, boom. The British ruled Hong Kong, right? The Chinese came there, right? They drove taxis. They did construction. There was so much money to be made because what? They had a surge. You had Chinese people who were millionaires who were fleeing communism, right? And that little island attracted millions of people, right? It created one of the largest real estate booms in history. And so therefore, people were so occupied with making money, right? You had Hong Kong entertainment, the studios and everything. They had entertainment, they got pleasure, everything like that. And the British are like, well, geez, man, I wish all our colonies were like this. They said we don't want to succeed from Britain. The British are like, okay, we want. We got a place to do business here and banking in Asia and everything like that. We take our cut and everything. For the most part, you know what I'm saying? 99% of the people are Chinese. It's still China, but it's still part of Britain. The Chinese was sad when the communists took over. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because they like this. But Africans are just the opposite. Now, I'm not trying to justify colonialism and everything like that, but this is what I'm not saying. Africans had nothing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, nothing. No roads, no nothing, and everything like that. They had barely little infrastructure, right? But they want to preside over mediocrity. You know what I'm saying? Now, with anything, this should have been a Hong Kong national saying, you know something? Yeah, we're gonna build Hong Kong and everything. But people like, look, we're making money. This is a place. New millionaires are being created every day in Hong Kong. You know what I'm saying? Hong Kong had one of the biggest stock exchanges in the world. Banking, shipping. The government of Red China used Hong Kong seaport and was shipping goods. I'm gonna talk about Asia and its logistics center of Southeast Asia and everything like that. I'm gonna talk about that in 1 second. I think I got the hold up. No, hold up. Let's see something. All right, phone. All right. Now, okay. Now, I think I got the two pictures I want to talk about. I think I got them. I think I got them. Okay. Now, Asia. Now, I just wanted. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to give a visualization. I want to give a visualization. So I'm gonna go to Google the share video, and I want to give a visualization of exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. This was the Bandung Conference of 1955. Okay, the Bandung Conference of 1955. Okay, okay, all right. Okay, look who's there. These are the most powerful developing countries in the world, right? You had the People's Republic of China, right? The guy in the middle is Nasser of Egypt, right? You had Kwame Nkrumah and the delegation from Ethiopia, right? Yeah, all the countries in Asia, most of the countries in Africa, right? At this conference, right? The main point of this conference was to end European domination. They spelled it out. They wanted to end European white domination of Asia and Africa, and it was for all the third world developing people to come together as one. This is why people in Africa joined with Nasser of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? As his nationalists against Israel. Okay, Sukarno was the leader from Indonesia. That's Air Liberia. Excuse me. That's another thing. Liberia once had an airline. Has Sukarno. I don't know who. I think that's Mitterrand right there of France. But I think it's Sukarno. That's Nasser. That's an Indian guy. I forgot his name. And that's Kwame Nkrumah at this meeting. This was probably the most significant meeting, the Bandung Conference 1955. They mapped out a plan, right? A 30-year plan for Asia to rise out of poverty and rise out of a mediocrity and under the cloak of the West. They knew this wasn't going to happen just using military and everything. They had to be strategic things that Asian countries come together and build. One of the things that Asia did was, like in Singapore at the time, right? The best statesman of our time was Lee Kuan Yew, former president and prime minister of Singapore. Is Singapore became the logistics center of Southeast Asia, Singapore, Malaysia, and Hong Kong, right? What that meant was that the idea of warehousing and shipping, doing business transactions as Asia as a place of business for each other. You know what I'm saying? In other words, Singapore, because it didn't have any manufacturing, it didn't have any really farmland, everything like that. It mastered the science of bulk breaking, shipping, logistics around the world. If Hong Kong was manufacturing stuff, it was sent it to Singapore to package it all up and send it to the United States, right? This sort of Pan-Asian cooperation put money and wealth in the hands of Asians, right? Well, look at Africa right now, right? There's nothing being manufactured in Africa that ends up in the United States. Can anybody tell me any clothing line or anything that's on the American market? Now, Rwanda does have coffees and everything. And Uganda is branding some coffees that's doing very well using the same model. Paul Kagame is leading Africa in that direction, but he's not getting the support that I think he should have as far as like building a Pan-African life. Because I don't think many Africans understand that you have to work together as a region. 90% of all Asian products, right, are made in Asia. 90% of all Asian products consumed are made in Asia. 90% of products made in Asia that are produced in Asia are consumed in Asia, and the excess is exported to the rest of the world. You had China leading the cause of Pan-Asianism. You even had Japan. At the time, the world tried to make Japan, Japan, after Japan paid reparations to these Asian countries for their invasion and everything. Japan became a partner in helping Asian countries get to the next level. Japan began moving many of its operations offshore to places like Singapore, Thailand, okay, and all these countries became what they call NEIs. NEIs means newly industrialized economies. And by the time the late 70s rolled around, so whether it was building refineries, cement plants, and everything like that, Asia was becoming physically, logistically, infrastructurally integrated in with each other. Okay, Japan. Now you would think, well, they didn't have war with Japan. Didn't Korea and Japan invade, occupy Korea? Yeah, but Japan and Korea, Japan. If it wasn't for Japan, you would not have the Hyundai Corporation. The Hyundai Corporation was the same, was modeled after Mitsubishi. So all these things, and also the People's Republic of China, the Japanese built steel mills, power plants, all these things for the People's Republic of China. Now, how do you have this happen when people are supposed to be still angry about the war? See, that's Asians and that's Africans. Different between Asians and Africans. Asians put what? Pan-Asianism is what? Business first. They put business and business first. There's an old Asian parable says instead of fighting over a rice bowl, let's increase the size of the bowl. So in other words, instead of going back and forth with each other, the main thing of the Bandung covenant was Asia has to compete with who? European. I have never heard any African who calls himself Pan-African talk about when are we going to be able to compete, go head to head with Europe. Okay? How do I get off the screen share? Okay. Okay, so I've never heard anybody talk about how we're going to compete with Europe. It's always Europe is a partner. Europe is not just a partner. Europe is a part of us, and there is no Africa, and you know everybody's just taking up, carving up his slice. The white man's here and there. He has his own interests. We can't offend him, and we talk too much about Pan-Africa. White people will get offended and everything. But in Asia, by the time the 1980s rolled around, it was clear that you were living in Asia. It wasn't what you call Vietnam was no longer Saigon, the pearl of the Orient. You know what I'm saying? India was never the Raj anymore. You know what I'm saying? Indonesia wasn't it. It was a thriving new modern Asian civilization that basically Asians are in control. The top businessmen, the industrialists, and everything are Asians, right? And so therefore, psychologically, Europeans know, well, geez, we don't rule this country. They don't need us for shipping. They have their own airlines now. They have all these things right here. They build everything they have. They have their own industrialists. They can compete with us at any time. That's the difference between what's going on in Asia and what's going on in Africa, because Africa is still under the tutelage of thing. And one of the problems is you have the what was never been addressed was the millions of people who lost their lives in the transatlantic Holocaust. Until that's reversed, until you have a migration of people from the North America in particular, the diaspora in general, but North America in particular, to the African continent, helping build and integrate it into the development of Africa. If it means building new city states and everything that are semi-autonomous, where we could basically pull resources, pull mines, pull investments, pull it together. We don't have a chance. You know, Pan-Africanism has to be business first. You'll see Asians saw Pan-Asianism as a business opportunity. Africans don't see Pan-Africanism as business opportunity. You know, if you ain't sitting there talking about, oh, I love lovey-dovey, or how many books you read and all this kind of stuff like this, and all this kind of freaking nonsense. Do you wear Dr. Shigi? Do you do this? What kind of hairstyle do you have? And all kind of nonsense and everything. All that stuff is important, but that's a secondary. Pan-African business. Are you building the infrastructure? Are we coming together on education? You know what I'm saying? Human rights and women's rights and all these other things like this. If we don't do that, then Pan-Africanism is dead. You know. So what other questions we got? Oh, you're dying. You're muted.
My bad. Like I said, we have 171 people watching, only 109 likes. Get the likes up, please. Let's see who else we got. What else we got in the chat? Just a lot of. Okay, Africa is owned by foreigners. They have formed it in a way that it will never grow. You have to uninstall their system software and reinstall yours to a self-governance for each people.
I don't know about owned. When you say owned by foreigners, that's a little far-fetched. If foreigners got influence and everything, let's not start with that owned by. How do they own a lot in Africa? Yeah, I agree with that. But they don't own anything in Africa. No, I mean Africans, nobody owns anything. The idea of private property ownership is basically a modern concept. You know what I'm saying? So this idea of foreigners own everything. Now, as far as like another thing I'm gonna ask is this: when we see nice beaches and everything like that in Africa, the nice hotels and everything, one thing you don't see is you don't see the locals, the people enjoying their own country. one thing I'm always impressed by when I look at Asia is the fact when I see images of Japan and everything, I see the average Japanese to be able to sit in those little places where they play those little games and stuff like that, and they can walk their streets and they're fine restaurants and everything. They are enjoying the best of their civilization. You know what I'm saying? Because they built an economy, they built their infrastructure, they built their wealth up to benefit themselves, not to facilitate a relationship with a foreign colonial country. You know, I want to see African countries enjoying their own land. You know what I'm saying? Enjoying the infrastructure, enjoying their own peace. You know, you don't shouldn't have to go to Europe and America to enjoy these things. You know what I'm saying? You could build everything you want and make Africa a heaven on earth. You know what I'm saying? But we got to get past this bickering over tribalism and all this nonsense that we go through. You know, somebody says, let's see, Darius, I chose to be spokesman of spirit of neo pan. You do the four. We have done a good job bridging the gap. Yeah, Darius has done a great job because the thing is, when people get angry with a lot of stuff I say, the bottom line is I have to say it like it is. You know, I approach Africa from a business standpoint of view. You know, I look at things in business. You know, and what's business? Pan Africanism has always been an emotional thing.
Hey, Kyla, real quick. Senegal reached out to Russia and met with. I know Macky Sall met with Putin. I think
Right.
today. I mean, how do you feel about them reaching out to Russia?
I did not hear about it. I don't know what the outcome. I didn't. It crossed. It missed me. You have it. You have the article. And I could probably look at it.
Yeah, I get emails. It was brief. It was just like, hey, they spoke. You know, they might form a relationship, but it was real vague. Just pretty much they met for the first time.
Yeah, Africans like George Weah. It has like there was like 20 Chinese people called investors, and that's another thing. When you're so over reliant on investors, you know what I'm saying? Investors are there, right? They already got it mapped out how they're gonna win. You know what I'm saying? They already know how they're gonna win. Yeah, they have it so that the game's so rigged in Africa, right? That when Africans tell me all the time, they say, "Well, we do everything on BOT. You build, operate, and then you transfer to us." And I'm like, "Well, wait a minute here. You know, that may work with the Chinese because they got deep pockets. But what about African American companies that want to come here and want to do something, get into real estate, want to build this and everything like that? We don't have those deep pockets like that, dude. Like the Chinese, you know, say where you could basically say, okay, take 10 years. The Chinese are okay, take 20 years to pay us off. You know what I'm saying? We don't have that. You know what I'm saying? We don't have that sort of backing. You know what I'm saying? So people say, well, geez, African American, what can you do? Unfortunately, we don't have a government. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a government. We don't have a government that's smart enough in America to realize, you know, if we would invest in these Pan African guys, they really want to go to Africa. They want to live here. Maybe we could come get something out of this. You know, the white American is this is another thing I want to talk about. The coons and the white Americans. You know what I'm saying? There's this idea. There's this idea that black people, right, that they've created through the media and through the Jewish controlled media, that black people only see the world as far as America, the United States. They really do believe we love America. We just want to be the best America we can be. And even when you talk about the Nation of Islam, I'm not throwing shade at the Nation of Islam and everything. They in their back of their minds think to themselves, man, if you guys just really want to be American, that if we one day, if you force our hand, we black white people will pat you on the head and say, we like you Negroes. And then they figure that's enough for us to go away and be calmed down for another 200 years. They don't think that there's some of us who think like they do. You know what I'm saying? Who think outside of, well, geez. You know, they don't think we love ourselves enough to ever want to be ourselves. You know what I'm saying? They really do believe it. And then what you see in the media, right? You always see See, black people, what they trying to always force on us? Light skin beauty standards, all these things, materialism, all these things. And white people look at this and say, we got them for at least 300 years. You know what I'm saying? Because they're always going to hate themselves. They're always going to hate on each other. They always want to strive to look like us. They want their kids to look like us. They want to be us and everything. They want to be American more than we do. You know what I'm saying? That that white people in the back of their mind knows that even if they, let's say, all hell breaks loose in America, they can go to Europe, they can go to any of these white countries, and that white skin is a passport around the world to some sort of security. Not only do they got America under lock and everything, but that white skin allows them. You got white people, white Americans who have no education, can go to China, right? Put on a business suit and tie, right, and front like he's a businessman for certain business things.
Hey, I
People
like
don't
to
even know
interrupt.
that.
Hey, I like to interrupt this program for a special announcement. Yvette Carnell is hating on Jay Morrison as we speak. Go ahead, continue.
Oh yeah, the bottom line is this: Mama Malata, the Queen of Misery. I'm saying she basically these people will not give up because she is not just somebody that just doing this. She's somebody that hates real black empowerment. Why is she? You know, okay, I'm just gonna let it out. What the hell does it matter? Jay Morris is a businessman, right? He's a businessman. He did a business investment. Our black people are not allowed to get an investment. Black people put millions of dollars in the 401k. Matter of fact, black people spend more of that on Jordans. You know what I'm saying? $500. It's the whole idea that black people can do something outside of this system. You know what I'm saying? We always have to be inside the system, laying down for white folks, begging white folks everything. Now you have a guy that comes up and he's a businessman. He has a creates a model. He's successful. You could take that model, not just for real estate. You could take that model. I could show you this opportunity to get into mining gold, mining cobalt, mining and financing and building all the things that you complain about Europeans doing. All the things you complain about Oppenheimer's doing. Oh, they got all the diamonds and everything like that. Where's your diamond industries? Where's your diamond washing, cutting, and marketing and everything? I don't know. I'm just sitting here complaining about the white man. The Jews having all the diamonds. The diamonds in Africa, why don't you go there and learn master the diamond trade? You know what I'm saying? No. But because bottom line is this, we have to have our own independent financial institutions. You know what I'm saying? Now, if Jay Morris is successful, right, then you're going to have many other Pan-African things saying, let's crowdfund to create a fund that invests in this country's whatever it is, agribusiness. You know what I'm saying? We're going to list on this stock exchange right here. We're going to have the principal. We're going to list on here and everything. And we're going to open a partner with this company right here. But see, once you start doing this stuff, then other people want to take you on a partner. Like African venture partners, right? They went to South Africa. We said, me and Tariq and the dog went there. And next thing you know, they're on the back end of a major billion-dollar deal with Richard Branson and the Virgin Group. There's opportunities out there, but you got to get started. So I guess African venture partners, Dinus, should have stayed in the United States, working with corporate America, doing nothing. But they took the bold step and went to South Africa, and now they're doing billion-dollar deals. But so listen to Yvette Carnell and these people. And what's happening is this. The people that listen to her don't want to believe that there's success in Africa. Why? Because they simply hate being Africa. They want to think Africa is a failure and everything. They want this stuff to go away. They hate being black. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They hate being black. They hate identifying Africa. And the bottom line is this: somebody TMK Asians don't rely on tourism. Yeah, even though Asians make billions of dollars on tourism, probably more than Africa, they're not relying on tourism. They got industries. They're industrialists. They make banking and finance. They manufacture things. And Asia has no natural resources, but it's a manufacturing hub of the whole of the world. Africa is the humiliating thing of relying on tourism and everything. When people come to your country, and you're bowing, you scraping to them like you're in the South Pacific Islands. Oh, this is the island of half the time. It's beautiful. I would love to. You ever see the Fiji Islands? They're beautiful. I want to go there one day. You know what I'm saying? People are beautiful. They're, oh, how you doing? They're cooking food. You're on the yachts and everything like that. It was beautiful. You know, places like that, right? But me personally, man, me being an African American and everything, I cannot do tourism. I cannot do hospitality. I worked in a hotel for a while and everything. You know, you got to put on this thing. I did it for a job and everything. I couldn't imagine myself doing that for a living, you know? Because to me, it's the meaning. But people do it, yeah, you do what you got to do. But I couldn't imagine a whole nation where you got to basically, your bread and butter is relying on people who you hate coming there spending money. Nothing good can come out of that. You heard about the incident in Belize, right? Belize is so desperate. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah. Belize,
what happened in
they
Belize?
had of course, child molestation and stuff like that, and the police covered it up because it involved two rich white people. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh well, this, that, and the other thing. It was like a child bully. I think it was even tied to a murder, and they didn't investigate it, whatever, like that. But the bottom line is this: it happens many times in these countries. These places don't want a bad name. You know what I'm saying? They don't want a bad name. Like that African American girl in 2004 that was found dead in Ghana by a pool one night. The Ghanaian government covered it up. Why? Because the bottom line is this: you don't want people stop coming to your country. You know what I'm saying? Think it's unsafe, and that's the dark side of tourism. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be somebody in your country that's going to be resentful of these foreigners coming in your country. You know, and it happens all the time. You know, it happens all the time. You know, it happens all the time. Yes. So about Asia, you had the Bandung conference. Asia's built its infrastructure up, you know, and actually it was devastated after World War II, but it rebuilt. You know what I'm saying? Malaysia started with tin. They were mining tin with rudimentary tools and everything like that. Eventually, they was able to buy equipment and stuff like that, you know, machinery and everything like that. Next thing you know, the tin output grew, and they were able to finance their own industries and everything. And then out of there, you know, they began to learn about monetizing it. And Malaysia became a good country of banker. Problem was in Asia was, and they solved this problem too. There was a large number of Chinese who came flooded in Southeast Asia, right? Here was a problem. The Chinese were excellent businessmen. I mean, they had business network, and the Malay people and the people in Indonesia could not compete with the Chinese, even though they were saying Pan-Asianism. There was in Indonesia, they said there was like about 100,000 Chinese that were murdered by Indonesians. Now that was the fault back of Pan-Asianism. They said the Chinese were involved in this, that, and the other thing. The Chinese were taking all the jobs. They were doing this, that, and the other thing. But over time, right, they didn't give up on it, right? Over time, now you got all these countries, the Chinese and people are married into each other and they're more integrated into society. But they had their problems. You know what I'm saying? They would every group of people have their problems. You know what I'm saying? But they can't deny they're not for the Chinese, right? You wouldn't see the skyscrapers and everything you do in places like Singapore and everything like that. The beach, hotels and everything. Chinese businessmen. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of Malay businessmen and everything like that. But it was the Chinese basically who their energy is what built Southeast Asia. You know, and the Japanese too. You know, so therefore they benefited from. They look at it now, it's like they benefited from this idea of Pan-Asianism. You know, had they kept the Chinese out, you know what I'm saying? Had the Malaysians and the Indonesians kept the Chinese out, Asia wouldn't be where it is right now. So I don't know why we can't have the same thing in Africa, where we have this. Jay Morrison, if he's successful, when he's successful, right? He started with real estate. Can you imagine? Everything starts with an idea. You know what I'm saying? You have a gold mining group. You know what I'm saying? The same thing Anglo-American corporations, they will form as a mining corporation. Same thing. Initial investors, they come together. Once they get their first project off the ground, and it may take like a couple of years, but once the thing starts seeing money in gold, start flowing through, and they start making money. Then the value of the stocks grow up, and they can expand. They can take more loans out, sell more stock, whatever like that. But that's how capitalism works. Now, if Jay Morris is successful, we could take his model and be listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, the Angola Stock Exchange, the Kenya Stock Exchange. Kenya right now is booming. Kenya's booming right now. Kenyans, I would say out of all the black people, I think Kenyans have the most the biggest stock portfolio as individuals. A lot of Kenyans own stock in the companies that they have. Kenyan Power Company, that the people are learning to buy stock. They're not relying so much on foreign investment. People, instead of people spending their money in the nightclubs, they're buying stock portfolios. You know what I'm saying? Now imagine if they extend that to other African countries where you get Rwandans and everybody come in, say, hey, look, we got investors. We want to list on your stock exchange. We have excess capital. Let's go ahead and finance some of your list on your stock exchange, and let's have a Pan-Africanist thing. That's what Paul Kagame wants to do. So it's not all hopeless, folks. We have people out there that's doing this. Our good brother, a great leader, Paul Kagame. That's another thing I want to start referring to as. You know what I'm saying? I want to start basically uh, 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 um, us to start looking at people as leaders. I consider me personally. I consider Paul Kagame a leader, my leader. You know what I'm saying? He's the head of the African Union now, the head of Rwanda. Rwanda is a crowning jewel. That Kigali is the cleanest, beautiful city on the planet right now. The Rwandan people are just basically amazing. What they was able to do after that tragedy that happened 25 years ago. Paul Kagame is a leader. You know what I'm saying? We have to start looking at people as leaders. It's like people get all distracted. Focus on the success. I pointed to a success model, Rwanda, right? Well, for Paul, keep your eye on Paul Kagame. You know what I'm saying? You want answers. Don't be all over the place. When you done listening to the show, a lot of you gonna go back to your same Hotep Negro, Dusty Negro listen to shows, and they're gonna be telling you doom and gloom, misery, woe is me, woe is me, it's all bad. You know what I'm saying? And you want to commit suicide. There is hope. You know what I'm saying? We do have people, but what they need is the support. You know what I'm saying? The Pan African world right now, to me, is looking at brothers like Paul Kagame, organizing the BAIO, my brother Dynasty here, and a few other people. There's the people Dynasty has on this show, stuff like that. It's not hopeless. It does not have to be hopeless. There are people moving in the right direction, but we got people moving in so many different directions. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. Everybody's got their own interests and everything like that. The people who want to divide us and everything, let the people go by the wayside. You know what I'm saying? We want to see the black race wins, and the black race is not going to win until Africa wins. Africa wins, we all win. And right now we have a model. You know what I'm saying? We got countries like Angola, we got countries like Botswana that's doing well. I really can't speak on West Africa right now. They got the situation today, but hope is looking good in countries like Kenya, Rwanda, and Tanzania. I know Tanzania is looking pretty good, but we got the Arabs there and everything. But that can be corrected by more black people from the West and business people. So that's why cutting down people like Jay Morris is not a good idea. Can you imagine when we have a $50 billion African investment fund? You know what I'm saying? We can easily do that. You know what I'm saying? That's why they want to take Jay Morris down now. The art of war. You read the art of war. When you wage war against somebody, you don't wage war on the battlefield against them. You attack him, but don't attack him on the battlefield. You attack him not even when he's getting ready. You attack him in the planning stage. You attack him when he's planning his move. You attack him to put doubt in what he's doing. Cause disarray among the city. That's what they're trying to do. Cause doubt among Jay Morris and what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? So you run away from him. So you take him down. So you humiliate him. That's what Mama Mulatto wants to do. You know what I'm saying? Mama Mulatto wants you to take him down, to humiliate him, and she doesn't care about you. She doesn't care about Pan-Africanism. She doesn't care about black people and everything. This is just basically her having fun until she gets her invite to MSNBC. Let me say it again. Mama Malata, her ultimate goal is to be on MSNBC. You know, the far left Marxist stupid stuff when they sit around all day, talk about it, enjoying the mammies on this that show, The Talk, The View. All these women over there, like that. What's that? What's that comedian? What's that one? Sheryl Underwood. I met her one time. You know, she when I worked in the nightclub, she came in one night. You know, I met her one time. You know, everything like that. She's real short. Cheryl, if you heard Cheryl Underwood, man, I think she's like 5'1". She's real small. You know, so I met her one night, and I called my girlfriend at the time, and I let her talk to her on the phone. You know, and this, that, and the other thing. But she's a mammy. You know, you got the talk, and you got the other shows and everything like that. You got these miserable women out there. All they do is cause strife and drama and everything. You got the 106, the excuse me, the basketball wives. Also, you got these ladies of drama and everything. They got nothing. They got no husbands. They got no family. They got no children. They got nothing but to do but sit around on TV, talking about this, talking about that, causing drama and everything like that. That's all she wants to do. There's no there are no plans. So at least this brother Jay Morrison, he has a plan. He's doing it. You know, somebody that doesn't have a plan, don't have no idea. Why are you even taking her seriously? You know, stop listening to the other. Somebody said Yvette might be wrong on the whole Pan-African thing, but she's great. Other part. What political issues? You know what I'm saying? She tells you what you already know. You know what I'm saying? Damn, you know, this, that, and the other thing. Black people fall behind in this, blah, blah. Jeez, dude. You know what I'm saying? That's Captain Obvious shit. Yeah, okay, yeah, things are we're behind everybody and everything else. Yeah, we know that. That's what they do. They give you a lot of facts and everything like that, so it makes it seem like they're telling the truth and everything. But what their ulterior motive is based, we have we can't do nothing unless unless the white man's involved, unless we're begging, unless we're on our knees crying and blah 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 blah. If that's what they want to do, fine. Hey, Diane, have we ever asked the Mama Mulatas and the integrationists and the LBG? Hell, do we ever invite them in these shows and try to?
No.
Do we ever? Huh?
No.
No. Did we ever say we want them involved with us? We never said we would need them. We said we want them. But these people are always basically coming after us and talking all this kind of nonsense. If you believe that, go right ahead. She's Yvette Carter. I just hate this parent and the fact that. So if you don't like what we're saying, why listen? You're misleading me. Like you care what? So you care more about black folks than I do. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that's a good one. You know, so Mama Mulata, she's toast. You know what I'm saying? She's toast. And can I read Chief Dro's comment? Okay. Chief Drino comment. I'm gonna read his comment. Okay.
Yeah, let me go up to it. Let's see here. Chief Drano, thank you for the super chat. Pan-Asianism makes Pan-Africanism look like a joke. First of all, we need to develop deep love for Africa before anything else. I've been to Japan 3 times, Korea, Singapore, Thailand, and all I see in common amongst Asians is pride and love for homeland.
Yep. We gotta teach us to our Nigerian brothers. You know, we gotta teach that to our you're black. The bottom line, look. Let me tell you something, folks.
Hey, Kyla, I was gonna do a video today, man, because the face of coonery now, as far as black people globally, it's a Nigerian woman. I don't know what it is. These Nigerian women are.
They're coming after me big time. You know, I don't know what it is, bro. It's just I don't know. It's just ridiculous. What it is they're actually British women. You know what I'm saying? They go to Nigeria and they want to talk about Nigeria, but they're not really Nigerians. You know what I'm saying? They're not really Africans. You know what I'm saying? They're freaking people that basically who live in the West, and they always try to, and they can't keep our name African American out of the mouth. Like I told you about Liberians. Liberians is still the psyche of us building a nation. Let me tell you something. And I'm not gonna pick on my Nigerian brothers tonight. It's not about that. But some things need to be said. Some things need to be said, and I'm going to say this, right? Nigerians had a great leader, Nnamdi Azikiwe. You know what I'm saying? This man loved and respected the African American and the American Liberian. You know what I'm saying? When he basically, matter of fact, when he went to Liberia and he went to Howard University in America. He was homeless in America, and some African Americans took him in. And who would never know this young kid would have been a president, a head of a state, you know? And he went to Howard and everything like that. He learned the history of the African American, our struggle, what we are, why do we think we do, and everything. Because at the time the League of Nations was trying to colonize Liberia. Let me tell you something, man. I never really talked about this, right? The League of Nations was trying to colonize Liberia, right? Because they felt that Liberia's independence was a threat to Africans on their rule over Africa. You know what I'm saying? Naim Ezekwe was like one of the things, okay, the British were our colonizers. They brought us Christianity, they brought us all stuff like that. You know, they brought us the modern world and everything. So he had no problem. But when he saw the black people in Harlem, and he saw the black people, this time of the Garvey movement, he saw the black people in the United States, and he went to Liberia and saw how they had a republic function. He said, these are the people that are the leaders of the black race. You know what I'm saying? And Nigeria, people don't know this, right? All the way to the 1980 coup, Nigeria always recognized Monrovia as the capital of Africa. You know, President Carter, when he went to Liberia in 1978, right? He had some crisis there through the Sino thing, right? He stopped over in Liberia. He only stayed in Liberia for 3 hours, total of 3 hours. Remember, Talbert had a parade, went down the street, got on the plane, even though there were tensions running high between Liberia and the United States, because the United States was flying planes and unloading planes on Liberian airport without authorization, right? That's what started the problem. He went over to Nigeria and stayed for 3 days, right? And they was telling, look, this is what's going on. We need African support. Because this is during the fuel crisis. This is when all the stuff was going on. And Nigeria said, you know something? You should have basically stayed in Liberia, because they're the ones because next year we're having this big Pan-African conference. Liberia is our leader, you know what I'm saying, on the continent. You know what I'm saying? And Carter was like, that little tiny country? He said, yeah, they're the leader of the African. They put all this together. That's when Liberia became smart. We got to take this country down. You know what I'm saying? And Jimmy Carter was like, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't know Liberia had all this. Yes, it was Liberia that was the Nami Ezekwe said, the black man from the West. You know what I'm saying? Our mindset and what we say, what we think, and how we see the world and whatnot is basically saying Mahatma Gandhi, racist as he was, said that. He said the black man in America has one thing. You know what I'm saying? He's going to one day free the world. You know what I'm saying? Racist Gandhi said that. He said the black man in America, something about the black man in America, our mind, what we fight for, where we see the world. You know what I'm saying? Our quest for justice. You know what I'm saying? This is not justice what's going on right now in the world. You know what I'm saying? You're going to tell me if 400 years of people still landless and we could be put down and dismissed and everything after 400 years, we liberated everybody else, gave blood, sacrificed everything, and we got nothing to show for it? Just justice? No, it's not justice. So until the black man in America is a part of what we're going on, the black man in America has to be a part of Africa's redemption, Africa's building. You know, and people don't seem to understand that. Let's see. I love these comments. Great chat room tonight, folks. We don't have any really coons or trolls tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're laying off Nigerians tonight. That's why.
Yeah, we're laying off Nigerians tonight. but as far as like the Nigerian women are concerned, they're caught up in the Western.
That's another video. I'm going in on them tomorrow, bro. It's out of control.
Oh yeah. I got
a video on them tomorrow, man. It's out of control. Like, you can't. You know how Nigerians do. They try to come after Black Americans in our culture. I'm like, Nigerian women are the new face of coonery.
That bleaching skin.
Skin chasing white men, selling pussy off of Antarctica to Johannesburg.
You have Nigerian women living in the woods like animals in Italy. You know what I'm saying? On the roadside, prostitutes and whatnot. just defecating and having sex with strangers. Like these people, like I'm like, dude, I like telling my Nigerian bro, how do you have your women in foreign countries acting like that? You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
and that's the thing. My video was the Nigerian men have lost complete control of their women. It's out of control. But we'll go ahead. Hey,
Yeah,
Kyler,
I'm like this. The bottom line, we have African American women. This is another thing. Our black women worldwide, there's something wrong. But Africa, I always thought Africa was going to be a model that we could emulate. Africa seems like it's getting worse. It's worse than us. It's like, damn. I always thought, oh, be like the Nigerian women. Now look at some of these videos and everything like that, the stuff they're doing. That Nigeria gossip Nigeria mill. I'm like, my God. I'm like, jeez, what the hell is going on? I thought Nigeria was this day, other. It's just like we just have to. The bottom line is, there's this one Nigerian lady video, Dinus, that you got to see. There's a Nigerian chick. Oh my God, she breaks it down. She doesn't pull no punches. She put a video talking about the hypocrisy of Nigerians living in America, stuff like that. She was breaking. I say, you know something? I thought that she said, look, a lot of us lie about how well we're doing in the West. We lie about what we got back in Nigeria. We're living paycheck to paycheck for poverty and everything. We're pulling scams and we're not doing anything but this damn thing. She said it's time for Nigerians to come out and lie. You know what I'm saying? We are failing. Our countries don't have nothing. She breaks it down. She put out 2 videos, right? And that means the videos were viral. She was just like, and then you had Nigerians, oh, she's lying. She was like, I'm gonna tell you this for love. She goes, we are the people are messing up. We have nothing to say about nobody else or whatnot because we're corrupt and we're like, she just went in. I was like, damn. She's like, our women, the way we act in these different countries and everything like that. She said, oh my God. Because I had this one Nigerian lady I met one time. She lived in an apartment, right? And she kept telling me, yeah, well, you should see my house in Nigeria. I got this big giant house and whatnot. We built bigger houses over there and everything. I said, oh, that's really nice. She goes, yeah, but this is all right for now and whatnot, But you're living in, a section of, it wasn't low income, but was mostly black. But I get along with my neighbors, but I'm usually more high class than this. And she said how she had in Nigeria had like around 8 bedrooms and shit like that. And I'm like, damn, And she was like telling me, and she was telling me all this stuff, and I was like, why is every time I meet a Nigerian, they always tell me how big the house they are back in Nigeria? Have you ever had that happen? Dice, have you ever had happen? Nigeria, they always tell you how they got a big house in Lagos or big house.
Yeah, of course. With extra security.
Yeah, actually, we got all this house, this land and whatnot, this thing. And I'm like, what is the big deal about having a bigger house? I'd much rather have running water, sewer system, a centralized sewer system, AC system. I'd rather have electricity from a thing. Every time I talk to my good friend, from Nigeria, what I'm saying, when he's at his house, I hear that damn generator in the background. I'm like, hey, bro. You know what I'm saying? I hear that generator, and then I hear him tell his wife, yeah, you gotta put some more gas in it. You hear background talk, yeah, you gotta put some more gas in it, almost out. They got the generator, and I'm like, damn, I can't imagine going this. To me, it's enough to go over there and cut on the lights, man. That's too much effort for me. I can't imagine loading up the generator with having gas in my house. It's dangerous, And Dennis, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm right here. Chima Madu super chat. He says, as a Nigerian, I have to say that we have no right to criticize African Americans at all. I try to discuss your history and our history with my cousins, and they don't want to listen. Chima, I love you, brother, but I'm clowning Nigerian women tomorrow. This shit is out of control. Like, these Nigerian women are out of control. They are the new face of coonery on this planet. Yeah. I can't see how
Nigeria is supposed to be the leader, supposed to be our leaders.
And that's the thing. And this is the thing, Chima. Like, I'm sincere because if Nigeria wins, everyone wins. But these Nigerian women are out of fucking control all over this planet. At least the Black American woman, she's limited to America. You know, she's
In the
left
hood.
some
In the hood. Rarely ever come out of the hood.
Women are literally, excuse my language, selling booty from Johannesburg to Nairobi to Italy to Antarctica to Houston to Chile. These Nigerian women are out of control. I'm going in tomorrow. I have to.
And what gets me is, you check that. And you know what gets me is this. And one thing I learned about African Americans, right? And one thing I learned about, you know what I learned? I began to love African Americans, right? Because I used to be anti-African American. You know what I'm saying? I used to be so pro-African, right? And I used to be anti-African American. Trust me, folks, I wasn't always like this. I used to be real anti-African American, right? And then I began to look at it. I said, look, a lot of our African brothers and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what's agriculture, but why are they so superficial? Why do you have to, what is it? I got these degrees, I got this wealth and everything. Well, African Americans, if you get down with us and whatnot, you can have no money in your pocket and we'll still give you respect by your character and who you are as a person. You don't have to go put all this, oh, I got this degree, I got this education, I got this, I'm better than you and everything like that. That arrogance, we sense that in you. You know what I'm saying? You African brothers. And that rubs us the wrong way. Because you go, brothers, average black man in America, you know for yourself. When it really comes down to it, nobody gives a damn how much money you got in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it helped you out. You may get little things and everything, but the real thing is what's in your heart? What's your character like? You know what I'm saying? These are things I never hear my brothers in Africa talk about. Everything is about, oh, I gotta get money. We should have all that. See, this is the thing about Asians and Africans. Asians know they got all that taken care of. They got their money and all that taken care of. So they work on their character, their culture, and all these things that they can control. They put they put their differences aside, right, and do business like your brother was saying the last night about that thing. I agree with him about the China and Africa trade. I agree with that, but why has it got to be on the African front? There should be an African black front in Asia. You know what I'm saying? We got to have banks and businesses and everything set up in Asia. Take the war to them. Why is it always got to be on African soil where this takes place off? You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I disagree with him about. But he's right. We have to do business with our enemies. You know what I'm saying? Business is business. African Americans and Nigerians, whatnot, and we got together, put that aside, and say, look, we may not love each other, but we are in this together. We're both black and we're both being marginalized by race. Why is it that the other races can do that? You know what I'm saying? Look at China. Look at Trump today said, look, my good friend Xi Jinping of China, I just slapped $300 billion worth of tariffs on him. He's my good friend. We're working on this other thing. But that's how business is done. You may be a friend, but hey, good. Get this. I'm going to slap some tariffs on you. You know what I'm saying? I got to look out for my interests. But Africans and African Americans, we say one wrong thing the wrong way, and it's all the bets are off. And the China-America relations is strong as anything. Because they know they got so much tied together that one little trade war is not going to damage them. So this is something that we have to.
What we'll do, we'll go ahead and close out, Colin. Anything you want to say in closing? Go ahead.
Oh no, I think we said everything we need to say. I said somebody said Shamar Madu said in Nigeria, I say we have the right to criticize. You read that, right? You know what I'm saying? We don't have the right to criticize African Americans. Yeah, the bottom line is this, the Africans, there's more responsibility on you because you have the land, right? Don't give me this crap about your governments and everything like that, Africa has to basically become strong, centralized states. Centralized states that create policy, Pan-African policy that doesn't give a damn about the consideration of what Europeans and everything think. You know what I'm saying? And don't worry about the friggin' electoral cycle. I don't really believe in because elections and everything in Africa is nothing but tribal bickering and everything. What we need is strong central states where everybody has entitled to an education, everybody has entitled to human rights, civil rights, dignity, and going forward with that. And basically the rule of law and respect for authority, and also integrity, and also fighting corruption and everything like that, unifying the continent. If we get to those principles and everything like that, Africa will be unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? But having phony elections where we keep putting the same corrupt people in power because, oh, he won the election. You know what I'm saying? The guy can't read or write. You know what I'm saying? He can't read or write. He don't know his ass with elbow, but he won a freaking election. You know what I'm saying? You know, because a bunch of the most terrifying thing to me is the sight of illiterates going to a poll to cast a vote. That's more frightening than an army coming at you. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of illiterates going to a poll to vote is more frightening than seeing the Nazi stormtroopers coming. That means you're giving legitimacy to a friggin' moron. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna run the country ground, do whatever he do at will, whatnot, and he'll get rubber stamped because you'll vote for him again. So this has been College Genesis. Go to the BAIO social network, folks. Sign up and become something. Become a member. We have different groups and everything like that you can join, that you can be part of. Help us grow the social network and everything. If you want to be involved with this sort of discussion, the BAIO is a place to be. You want to link with other people, Black America, that's in the Pan-African movement, that want to help build Africa, everything. The BAIO is the organization, the place to be. You know, no other organization has this sort of thing that's focused on Africa. We're not talking about no Kemet. We're not talking about no ancient Hebrews, Turtle Island, all that nonsense. We are talking about that thing. We're not gonna one day. We're not talking about one day getting you together and flip the script and talk about rising up in America and all stuff like that. You know, we're gonna reclaim the real. I heard today that we gotta just wait this out, and we're gonna take over America, our true land and everything like that. And that's kind of when we rise up and whatnot. You know, we're not gonna we're not gonna pull the okey doke on you. We don't believe in no rising up. We believe in our time has come for us to return and build with Africa and everything. Send our best and brightest. Send our money to the continent. Do Africans want money? Do you know how much capital and investment we could put into Africa if we were organized? If Africans were serious and they had things in place, like things we can invest in, target things we can invest. Let's talk about this for 1 second. How come there's not been one project that the Africans come together and say, look, we're looking for, here's this project right here. Here's this business district we're building in this part of town. We're looking for investment, you know, from African Americans. Have you ever seen that invite anywhere? I haven't seen it, you know.
I haven't seen either, no.
It's never Africans taking initiative. Is there no African business people? Do you think beyond your next meal, brothers from Africa? You know what I'm saying? Do you think beyond your next little underage girl you're gonna chase? Oh, let me stop with that, you know. But the bottom line is this: we need people, we need adults in Africa who have the mind like us that want to build a continent. It ain't about you and your. I don't care about your big house and your $100,000 Bentley and $100,000 Mercedes Benz. That don't impress me whatsoever. And you're sipping your fruity drinks and your Mai Tais and getting drunk and everything like that, chasing European girls and all kind of freaking nonsense that you're trying to do. Well, that's the old African fool has to die. We want people that can build. We need more Aliko Dangotes. You know what I'm saying? That people that mean something, that want to build with us, and that want to build Africa, and they do that. You know. So no, African American women don't do the same. They're not all over the world. Amy Other, we are all over the world. They're not all over the world. You know, prostitution is rare in America because it's illegal. It's a real crackdown in this country. We don't have prostitution in America. You know, it just doesn't happen. I'm sorry to inform you of that. You know, so it just don't happen like that. Not saying given the same circumstance it can't happen, but we just live in America, and you know, like I said, it just don't happen here like that. You know, but I also get my book Journey to the Promised Land, Voyage of the Bark Azor. You know what I'm saying? You want to escape? You know what I'm saying? You want a 19th century escape? The movement of the Bark Azor, the voyage, is what basically led to the Marcus Garvey movement in the 1920s. The voyage was such a success that basically several voyages planned after that kept failing. And then finally, when Marcus Garvey came along, they said, let's build a Black Star steamship line and let's let's do this voyage that happened in Charleston 40 years earlier. You know, so Journey to the Promised Land, Voyage of the Barkazar, my book. Join me on Facebook, College Genesis, on Twitter. Join us on the BAIO. You get to know some interesting people. Search for Uhuru and everything like that. I should be back on Saturday night. With God's will, I'll be back here Saturday night, and we'll spit some more fire and brimstone. Now you know the reason. Asia was successful, Africa wasn't. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do a part 2 of the show one day, but you know why Asia is what it is and Africa isn't. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, folks. Thanks for listening to me. Thanks for your time. I love you all.
No problem. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you go to search for Uhuru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, Africa Personified on those same platforms. Also, go to africapersonified.africa-dynastymir.com, search for Uhuru.com, and go to amazon.com, search your name, Dynasty Mir. Please buy a book. Until next time, which will be tomorrow. Peace.